Okay, Lawrence. Hopefully you can hear me. Welcome as well. Right. So, just to everybody who's here today, welcome to our training webinar, Getting Started. My name is Chris Smith. Should take about 20 minutes or so, but if you do have any questions as we're going through it, feel free to type away, and I'll try and answer as many as I can. So this is one of 8 webinars that I do. We're good timing for certainly for Lawrence and John. This one that we're doing is just about getting started. The first things to think about when you're getting into the business. As you can see there, there's sort of 2 or 3 that we talk, which are about the catalogue side, a bit about team building, getting started on team building and supporting your new team members, and then a bit more about growing the business. And then the last 2, which could easily be the first 2 actually, because they are so important, are about setting goals and your personal development. But today we're going to do getting started. So one of the things that I'd like to think about is when you first start off with Kleeneze, you receive an awful lot of information from head office, from your upline, from myself. And it's very tempting to think that you should wait until you know everything that you need to know about the business before you start getting your catalogues out. But that's really a mistake, because what you should really do is to get started now. It's much better to get started and then learn how to do it better. A phrase you'll often hear in training is ignorance on fire is far better than knowledge on ice. So bear that in mind. You don't have to kind of understand everything 100% before you get started. The first thing I would recommend you do is just to make a list, and you can do this before you've even got your catalogues. You can make a list of 20 or so people. These can be close friends, family, neighbours, people that you know, just to let them know that you've started. I find that you will often get people saying, "Oh, that's interesting. We used to get a Kleeneze catalogue ages ago, but I haven't seen one now." So you might get people who are looking for a catalogue and will take one from you before you've even got them ready to go out. The other thing is that by telling people that you've started a new venture, you may well have people that themselves are interested in earning a bit of extra money. So may say, "Oh, tell me a bit more about that." So again, you're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. You're potentially speaking to your warm list about other people that might be interested in joining Kleeneze, but you might be finding some great customers before you've even got your catalogues as well. Then when the catalogues arrive, my suggestion is you prepare them first, and I'll explain that in a moment. And the first thing you can do is take half a dozen of those and just show them to your local friends and family. Again, your friends and family will often order from you straight away, even if they've seen catalogues before. But a lot of people won't have seen the catalogue, so it's a great way to kind of get started, to show them to sort of friendly sort of people that you already know. So, quick question. I'm not going to ask everybody this, but so far, John, I know you've obviously got your catalogues, and Lawrence hasn't joined us yet. So, but it's always useful for me, at least, to know who's got the catalogues and who hasn't yet. But I guess because I know everybody on here today, I don't need to know that one. So, one of the most important goals that we set at the beginning of your journey in Kleeneze is the 30-day challenge. And the 30-day challenge is basically a great incentive to get you started in the business. And basically your goal is to hit £600 worth of orders in your first 30 days. Now that can sound quite a lot. I don't know, Lawrence, I guess you haven't done this before. Off the top of your head, and perhaps John can type in on your behalf, does that sound hard or easy? And John, you're not allowed to give any clues out here. Simple but not easy. Actually, yeah, that's very true, John. Okay, I'm going to move on. Lauren says easy because he saw you do it. Yeah, it's always easier when someone else is doing it. It actually, I often find when I first mention this to people, they sound, oh gosh, £600 sounds an awful lot. But actually, it's only £150 a week in orders. You've got 4 weeks basically by the time your catalogues arrive. £150 a week. If you've got 250 catalogues and you're putting them out at least once a week, you've got a really good chance of hitting that. That should be taking you kind of 10 hours or so, depending on the location. 10 hours a week, so very part-time. You will gradually build up to your average of about £1 a catalogue. So you can see there, if you're hitting £1 a catalogue and you're putting 250 catalogues out, you should be able to get £150 a week in orders. So you have got a very good chance of doing it. It's a challenge, but it's certainly not an impossible challenge. And the result of doing that is great because firstly, you've proven to yourself that the business works. You've been out for 30 days, you've got £600 worth of orders, you've got your first customers, you've got your first income from the business, and in addition to that, as a reward for doing all of that effort, Kleeneze will send you an extra 250 sets of catalogues. And that's really, really useful because at the beginning is when you tend to lose. Yep, absolutely, John, I've heard that before again. A blind dog with a note in his mouth could do it. At the beginning, you do tend to lose a few catalogues because you're putting them through doors that you haven't been to before. So you never know what's behind a door. There might be a dog, a grumpy old man who'll throw it away. So you do lose some catalogues. And it's the same for everybody, but those extra 250 usually mean that by the end of your first month, you can easily have 400 or so catalogues, which is a great sort of sum of catalogues to get you going. Hi Liz, nice to see you. Sorry, we started a few minutes ago, but we've only just started, so hopefully you can catch up okay. Okay, so now that you know what the challenge is, how do we get started on that? So the first thing to do is just to prepare your catalogues. Basically, what we're trying to do here when we're putting the catalogues through at the beginning is to personalise them, so people will get to know your name. So usually what you'll have in each plastic bag, you'll put in one of each of the catalogues. You'll put the day slip at the front, which should look something like that. As you can see, those are the ones that me and Sarah use. And then an order form. And I usually put the order form behind the day slip but in front of the catalogue. And if you've got more than one catalogue, so if you've got a Christmas catalogue as well, I find it useful to put the one at the back to front and upside down. And the reason for that is that what you're trying to do when you're first putting your catalogues out and you're going round in the first kind of sort of 2, 3, 4, 5 months while you're doing the business, you're trying to build up a pattern of those people who are ordering from you, those who are not even looking at it, and those who are looking at it but maybe not ordering this time. And you can usually tell whether somebody's looked at it or not. I mean, sometimes it's really obvious, everything's all back to front and inside out and all sorts of things, but some people try to be helpful and they sort of put all the catalogues back in and they try to put it back kind of the right way around. And what they normally do is they'll put all of the catalogues up, sort of front way facing forward. So you can then normally tell, this one's been looked at because the one that I've put in upside down has been put round the right way around. Hope that kind of makes sense. So it's just giving you a bit more information about whether the people have looked at the catalogue or not. So yeah, make the order form visible. I'll come back to that in a moment. That's a useful thing to do. And also the plastic bags that you put your catalogues in, change them regularly. When you first use them, they're all absolutely clean, smooth as silk. And after they've been in and out a few times and sort of sat in the rain now and again, they can get a bit tatty looking. So you need to keep them changed nice and clean because you want your customers to look forward to opening them. Okay, so now that we've prepared the catalogue, it's really important to make a plan for what you're going to do in your first 30 days and stick to it. Don't kind of base yourself on results. Don't sort of think, oh, well, I didn't have a very good pickup, I'm not going to bother going out again today. Have a good plan and stick to it. A big difference that I find between people who are self-employed, which is effectively what you are in Kleeneze, and an employee is that if you're an employee, you'll go into work and your boss will tell you what to do. You don't need a plan because you get told. When you're in Kleeneze or any kind of self-employed business, you kind of have to make your own plan and you have to set your own disciplines to make sure you can do what you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve out of your business. So what I send to all my new starters, and John, I think you should have had one of these from me, is just a sample weekly planner. It's basically just like a weekly chart showing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then mornings, afternoons and evenings. So that you can write down in there, you can kind of block out other commitments that you've got. So if you're doing this part-time around another job, then obviously you've got hours that you're at work. And if you're fitting it around a school run, for example, you've got time when you'll be picking up the children from school. So you can block that out, but then around the rest of it, you can put in when you're going to put your catalogues out, when you're going to pick them back up. If you're going to do this 2 or 3 times a week, then you'll need to allow time to put them out, collect them back up again, turn them around, ready to go back out again. And having this weekly planner just gives you a structure to your week, which you can then stick to. And rather than thinking, oh, what's the weather like, shall I go out today? You just look at your weekly plan and say, right, it's Wednesday, today I'm doing my drop in these streets. So it just kind of helps you to get into the routine of those disciplines. Okay, a question to think about, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit further on, is whether to letterbox the catalogues or present them. And basically the difference is letterboxing them is where you just pop them through the letterbox as you go down the street. Presenting is where you knock on the door and you just say something along the lines of, hi, my name's Chris, I'm just doing Kleeneze in the area, I just want to check if it's okay to leave a catalogue with you. There are pros and cons to both, which I'll explain in a moment. Okay, so we use in our team, in the Fast Forward group, which is part of Bob Webb's group, we use what we call a 6x4 routine. What that means is the 4 refers to how often we deliver a catalogue. So basically we deliver a catalogue back to the same houses once every 4 weeks. So that kind of works out quite well. It ties in with your 30-day challenge. You start off, you delivered some catalogues to one street, you get them back, deliver them to another street, and so on. You keep going to new areas, gradually working outwards from your home. After 4 weeks, you then start to go back to the beginning again to deliver to those houses that you delivered to the first time. And it's really important to do this because what you're doing is you're showing your new customers that you're reliable, that you're punctual, friendly, all those great customer service things. So going back, if you leave it longer than 4 weeks, I've heard people do it kind of every 7 or 8 or 9 weeks. By the time you go back again, the customers will have forgotten about you the first time. So 4 weeks is the optimum number. And the 6 refers to how many times do you go back to those same customers to give them a chance to order before you cross them off your list. Basically what we suggest is you go back 6 months, one after the other, unless somebody says to you, take this catalogue away, I don't want to see it again. If they say they don't want a catalogue, obviously cross them off your list. But just because they don't order, or even if they don't look at it, keep going back. There's all sorts of reasons why people don't order the first time, or the second time, or the third time. You will pick customers up the 5th and 6th time. Once they've ordered from you once, and they get to know you, and they get to like you, and they get to trust you, then you'll get orders from them sort of over and over again after that. So it's showing people that you're reliable and that you're going to deliver to them regularly that is the basis of that 6x4 routine. Okay, let me tell a little bit about letterboxing or presenting. This was probably more important when you could start off with just a few catalogues, but I'll explain them both to you now because some people like to do them both. So letterboxing is the traditional way of doing Kleeneze. You basically copy a postman. You go down the road, pop a catalogue in every letterbox, and the advantages of it in compared to presenting are it's quicker to put them out. It takes a bit longer to collect because you're having to go to every single house, and it can take longer to find your customers because people that are not ordering from you, you might not get to know that if they don't say, I don't want a catalogue, thank you very much. But you do get a lot more customers nearby. And at the beginning, that's quite important. But as the time goes on and you're growing your customer base bigger and bigger, the closer the customer base is to you, the more valuable it is because there's less travelling. You're not wasting time driving 20 miles down the other side of town because you've kind of had to expand your customer base enormously. So just in comparison to that, presenting, what you do there is you're knocking on the door, just sort of suggesting that we're delivering Kleeneze in the area. I just want to check it's okay to leave a catalogue with you. And what you find then is it's slower to put out, because obviously you're knocking on every door. Not everybody's going to be in. Some people then do a combination of, if there's nobody in, they'll pop it through the letterbox. And if there is somebody in, then you'll just, having spoken to them, they'll tell you whether or not they would like to have a look at the catalogue or not. The downside of that, in my experience, is if, for example, the man of the house comes to the door, he might say, "Oh no, we're not interested, thanks very much," and we don't want one. So you cross them off your list. Whereas actually, if you'd popped it through the letterbox, he would probably have picked it up, put it on the side. When the lady of the house had a look at it, she may well have said, "Oh, you know what, I haven't seen one of these for a while," and you might get an order from them. So in my experience, letterboxing tends to work better if you've got a large number of catalogues, and as everyone's starting with 250 now, I would recommend letterboxing. Presenting used to be a good way to do it when you were starting with just 10 or 50 sets of catalogues, because obviously you had fewer catalogues, so you just couldn't cover the area as quickly. But if you do want to have a look at presenting, I'd certainly say give it a try if you'd like to have a go. There's a great website that Andy Boswell set up with a little video and a kind of little script that you can try out called presentyourcatalogues.co.uk. So if you're interested in that, go and have a little look there. Okay, so you've worked out, you've prepared your catalogues, you've got everything stuck together, you've worked out that you're going to do some letterboxing, for example. The next steps are what to do when you're delivering the catalogue. So first, you need to plan your route. I always say a great thing to do here is just go to something like Google Maps, get a street map of your area with your house in the middle, and just start close to home. We always say a great technique is the first time you go out of your front door, turn left, and start delivering the catalogues. The next day, go out and turn right, and gradually kind of work in circles, working outside from your house. But start close to home and don't flit about. Don't sort of think, "Oh, I think there might be a good area over there," or "Actually, I've heard somebody say that there's probably some good houses over there," and jump about. There may well be, and you will gradually get to them as you work out. But as I said earlier, the more customers you have close to home, the more effective and the more profitable your business will be. So print a map and just highlight each road as you've done it, and also any little cul-de-sacs and things that you might not have been aware of. As you see the road on your map, it'll remind you just to make sure you go down there. Ignore any other distributors. There's often people say, "Oh, I can't do Kleeneze, there's another distributor in my area." My upline Sue Marshall lives about 300 yards from me, and when I first joined, I said, "Oh, crikey, you've been in this business for 9 years. You must have every single customer in town." And of course she doesn't. And of course I went out with my catalogues and picked up lots of orders in the same streets that she'd been doing for years and years. So the easiest thing to think about is just, if you find anybody else in your area who's doing catalogues, just ignore their catalogues. Occasionally you might have a customer say, "Oh, thanks very much, I don't want a catalogue, I've already got one from whoever, Susan, Graham," and that's fine. You don't need to keep pestering the customer. And just make sure that as you're going round, you're keeping records in your round book of the houses that you've delivered to, so that you know where to go back and collect them. I've lost count of the number of people the team members that have kind of gone out, putting their catalogues out, saying, "Oh, I didn't need to take my round book because I know these streets really well. I just went all the way up there and all the way back again." And then they get a couple of people sort of say, "Oh no, I don't want one, thank you." And then when they're going back out again, they're thinking, "Oh no, I can't remember which house it was that they said they didn't want one, that I didn't leave one to." And then they start thinking, "Oh, well, it was around here somewhere, so perhaps I better miss out these half a dozen." So just keep a record in your round book of the houses you've delivered to, and then when you go back to collect them, that's where it becomes really important for keeping your records of who's ordered from you, who's looked at the catalogue, and who hasn't looked at it. Usual good customer service stuff whenever you're kind of walking around the area. Close gates behind you. Don't walk across people's lawns and gardens. Just stick to their footpaths. And a good thing is talk to everybody you come across. because you never know, a lot of people might not have a Kleeneze distributor. They might be really keen to sort of get to know you, and just building a little bit of rapport. Hi, beautiful day. If you've got like a Kleeneze t-shirt on and your Kleeneze trolley, and people can see that you're delivering the Kleeneze catalogue, when he then goes in his house and sees the catalogue, he'll say, oh yeah, that was that nice chap who said hello earlier on. So these little bits of rapport that you can kind of build are a great way just to kind of boost your orders. So just talk to people as you're going round. Get yourself known. That's what you're sort of trying to do in your area. Okay, so you've put your catalogues out. Next step is, obviously, a couple of days later, you're collecting the catalogues. So make sure you take your round book with you so you can record which people have looked at the catalogues, which people have ordered, and so on. Don't forget to take your thank you slips. So these are the slips that you pop through the letterbox just saying thank you very much for your order. And don't forget to take the sorry I missed you slips. So these are if you go for a catalogue that you've popped through and the catalogue's not there, you just knock on the door saying, hi, sorry to disturb you, I dropped a Kleeneze catalogue in a couple of days ago. I just wondered whether you had a chance to have you finished with it yet, or something along those lines. But if there's nobody in, then you need to pop a little slip through the door so that the customer will put the catalogue back out when they return from wherever they are. So in your round book, you need to keep a record of, did you get the catalogue back, did they order, and did they look at it? Because at this stage you're just trying to build up the pattern of who are the customers who are ordering from you regularly, looking at the catalogues regularly, and so on. Okay, so you've collected the catalogues back, you've placed an order, hopefully you've got some good orders from your customers, so the next step will be to receive those goods. So the goods come in you see this little picture here, a number of boxes, some plastic bags if you've got long items like brooms or telescopic props, that sort of thing. So you unpack the boxes, sort everything out into your customers' orders, because obviously at this stage Kleeneze don't know who the orders are for, so you sort them all out into your customers' orders. The way I do it, and this seems to work reasonably well, the boxes that I've just unpacked with all of the Kleeneze goods in, I use those to hold the orders, and I have my Kleeneze carriers. So for each customer, I put one of these and one of these and one of these into the carrier bag, and then I staple the blue receipt. Now, if you remember on the order forms, you get there's a two-part order form, the blue part and the pink part. Now the customer is supposed to separate them, keep the pink part as their own record, and put the blue part back in the carrier, back in the plastic bag for you. I find probably 95% of them put both parts back in, and that actually kind of works out quite useful for me, because what I then do is I separate the two parts. I staple the blue part to the carrier, and then I keep the pink part as my kind of checklist as I'm driving around or walking around delivering the goods. So if I have got them all in a box, it's quite easy to find one of the orders, because all of the blue order forms are stapled to each carrier. Hope that makes sense. So yep, use those boxes to hold all of your packed orders, and as I said, I just use the pink receipts as my checklist. So I kind of have a big pile of pink order forms, knowing these are the orders that I'm going to be delivering over the next day or two. So next stage, obviously, once you've sorted them all out, is to deliver those orders. My recommendation is that if possible, if you've got a telephone number for them, give them a call first. It does two things. Firstly, it's great customer service. Just ring them up saying, hi Mrs. Johnson, it's Chris from Kleeneze. I've got your order here. Is it okay to bring it round? Firstly, if they're not in, then you've saved yourself a journey. You can just leave a message for them. And if they are in, some people might sort of say, oh yeah, that's great. How much was it again? I'll just get my money ready. And I often find that they really appreciate the fact that you've just given them a couple of minutes warning that you're going round, rather than just knocking on their door, and they might be in the middle of their tea, and they might think, oh crikey, I've got to go and get my purse, hold on, I think I've left it in the car, and they get a bit flustered. So a quick call first, I find a lot of people really appreciate that. People can either pay you with cash or checks. They can also pay with a card now. There's a Kleeneze kind of hotline, a telephone line that you can use, and they can pay with a credit or a debit card. If they do want to pay with a credit card, there's a surcharge for that, so I always tell them that. But I'm still finding at the moment 99% of my customers pay either cash or checks. If they pay with checks, you can choose. Some people will already have written it out either to Kleeneze or yourself. The only difference between the two is if it's made out to you, you can just pay all of the cash and the checks into your own account and then pay Kleeneze what you owe them out of that. If the checks are made payable to Kleeneze, you have to pay them into a branch of the NatWest with the gyro slips, and that then goes straight onto your account that way. So either way, it's not really a problem. You'll find some customers like to do one, some like to do the other. It's kind of up to you really, if you prefer, whichever you prefer. I always, when I'm handing the order to them, especially if it's the first time out, when you're first starting off, so these are the first sort of time or second time that you're delivering to your customers, I always say, thanks very much, Mr. Johnson. My details are on your blue receipt there, attached to the carrier bag. If you've got any problems at all with that, just give me a call, so they can see where my telephone number is. And I always offer to refund or replace if you've got any problems with it at all, or it's just not the right size, or it's not quite what they expected, or it's not quite how it looked in the catalogue. It's all about customer service here, so just offer to give them a refund or replace it if it's just damaged and they just want to replace it. So, have you been paying attention, people? I hope you've been listening carefully. Quick question, see who can get this one right. How many weeks would it be before you deliver a catalogue back to the same house when you've been doing your rounds? Can anyone remember? Oh, I'm just wondering. Guys, can you still hear me? Huh. I'm wondering if it froze and I've been chatting away. Okay, I'm going to just continue because for the recording anyway, I'm going to come back to you guys later. So the answer to that was 4 weeks. We go back every 4 weeks. How many orders should you target in your first 30 days? That's £600 worth of orders. Have you decided whether you're going to do letterboxing or presenting? Obviously that's entirely up to you, which of those two you want to go to do. My advice is when you first start off, letterboxing works really well, especially if you've got 250 catalogues. How many catalogues a week are you planning to deliver? My recommendation is you go to get your catalogues out at least once a week, so that would be 250. If you can do a couple of times a week, obviously you're going to be building your customer base a lot quicker. So there we are. That is the end of this getting started section. Next week we're going to talk about your first 4 weeks. I've got a feeling that this recording might not have completed, but we'll see how we get on anyway. So hopefully that's all made sense. If you've got any questions at all, guys, just get back to me once we've all finished.